Yo, what is good, my brothers? This is Enemy Stand User. Today, I wanted to cover some stuff about Jujutsu Kaisen's future in 2023 that have just been sitting in my mind for a while now, and I wanted to share it with you, brothers. Now that the year is over and we are stepping into a new year, what is 2023 looking like for JJK? And if you'd ask me, it's pretty freaking fire. New anime is dropping in July, and the manga is still going very, very strong. And this year is very interesting because Gege Akutami has recently announced that he will end a part of his works in about a year. Now, that could mean Jujutsu Kaisen ends in about a year's time, like story-wise itself, or it can mean, what it likely means is that a certain arc will end, like the Culling Games perhaps, because I really don't see like the mountain of plot ending in about a year, and that would technically be about 40-50 chapters or so. Either I'm coping or Gege's tripping, because we about to find out. This masterpiece cannot and will not be rushed. 40 chapters ago we saw Megumi's fight with Reggie, and since then it feels like we know a little bit more than we did before. If anything, there's just a lot more to answer for since we got international events in the arc, Culling Game team-ups, power-ups, domains, Sukuna, Tengen, Tsukimi. We are gradually moving forward in the story as it should be. So in a end-of-the-world type of scenario such as this with the Culling Game arc and transitioning into the final arc of Jujutsu Kaisen, there has to be time to solve all these pieces together in as natural of a way as possible, because there's a lot we fans want to see. Just a couple popular theories that I see floating around the community. I see folks wanting Nobura's return, Sumiki to reveal herself, even for Sumiki to die, already plotting her demise. Megumi unlocks some special grade potential awakening, using his power to revive Sukuna or reach that special grade status. Yuji also awakens some special power. Gojo gets out of the box, unsealed, a Heian era flashback, Sukuna's backstory. There's even a freaking Miwa kills Kenjaku movement. You guys are crazy. You guys are pushing agendas, but I like it. And that's just the surface level of JJK crazy headcanon swirling around the community, just like a bingo board of possibilities. But to cover all these things in like 40-ish chapters is insanity. Unless we have some like Haguruma level peak chapter development, I really do not want to see a dip in quality just for the sake of getting it done. It's good that Gege has a plan in mind and he can go by his own terms, and I'm really happy that he can do that. But there is so much to uncover that just 1 year is one hell of an understatement. Today, I wanted to go over what I want to see in 2023 in the transition or the debut of the final arc in JJK, because I do feel like we have entered a point where we are in the home stretch. Chaos is blooming in the Jujutsu world, and it's straight up hell from here on out. But that presents great opportunities in the series. I'll try not to spoil the recent chapter 209, but the Culling Games have really served its purpose. Kenjaku just played the JJK world and is speedrunning right now. Tengen has been reached and the world is under threat of complete chaos. But there is time to solve things in the series, and the first thing that I'd like to see is a flashback arc or a mini arc. If we were to ever get a Heian era flashback in any capacity, that would be so peak. In fact, that needs to happen given Tengen's relationship with Kenjaku as a friend that probably even predates the era of Heian, and even the fallen sorcerer turned monster Ryoma Sukuna. Ancient Jujutsu history is like an entire universe of folklore, clans, religion, war, and battles. Another past arc would answer so many questions and even introduced new and prominent characters like the three big vengeful spirits, the Fujiwara clan, and more. It would just add a whole lot more lore. That era is the golden age. Sorcerers and curses scaled so high back then, they were so powerful and vicious that even Sukuna was not feared as much as Gojo is in the modern age, because in those days, The people were so desensitized to war and power and violence that Sukuna was like a cursed king in an already bloodshed world of monsters. It was the peak of sorcery. So in a backstory arc, we could see the fall of Heian, or even a time of Sukuna, Tengen, Kenjaku in a setting where they realized their ambition, a time when they were once human in a sense, and begun their descent into chaos, because Angel calls Sukuna the disgraced, the fallen, and one would have to be in a position of enlightenment or valor to even be considered disgraced. But Gege going back in time and giving us lore would add so many layers to the story. Something more relevant I'd want to see this year relates to the transition into the final arc, and I completely imagine some sort of event like this can only be described as cataclysmic, like an apocalyptic world where the boundaries between individuals is torn down and Tengen is used as a catalyst of the new world. Of course, this is something much bigger than the Culling games, or is the result of the Culling games, since Jujutsu itself is evolving, but I really want to see what happens when Japan crosses to the other shore. Now, this would be an event of mass extinction. A lot of people would die, since the concept of non-sorcerer would no longer really apply, and the entire nation and all these humans would either die and be cursed, evolve as sorcerers, or lose themselves in a dark mutation as evolved curses beyond what even Kenjaku can imagine. I don't know if Gege would prolong the Jujutsu world in a state like this or save it for like the final chapters, but once Tengen assimilates with mankind and Sukuna is fully reincarnated, it will literally be hell on earth. And I'd like to see the themes of the soul and the body reintroduced back into the story and serve as a purpose in either the destruction or the evolution in characters like Kenjaku or even Sukuna himself. Recently, I had hoped to see that theme of the soul come back with Yuki's story and her relationship with Tengen, given that we know Tengen is now like a collective mass of vessels, and Yuki herself was a former star plasma vessel and she hears the voices of the stars. There's still time for that to be discovered, but with Yuki's death, it feels almost like wishful thinking, but that's something that has to be explored, and it needs answering because Tengen is like the key. Right now, Kenjaku has proceeded with his preparations with the Culling games, and seeing how he needs the death of non-sorcerers and shamans to fuel the cursed energy of these colonies to assimilate with Tengen, there's going to be a lot of deaths, not just like, of course, mass genocide from this event, but major deaths of characters that we've seen recently. Culling game players like Mio, Daido, Haguruma, Hazanoki, even top tiers like the Sendai Squad, Uo, Ryu, Maki's group, Hikari's group. From either one of these groups, there's going to be deaths, and you better bet the death will just keep climbing more and more as the series goes forward. In fact, our main cast has incredibly heavy death flags since day one, so this series will likely end in tragedy, especially for someone like Yuji, because not only is Yuji prepared to die himself, but he will be forced to witness tragedy, and ultimately he won't be able to prevent it as long as Sukuna remains inside of him. Both Yuji and the demon Sukuna signal the start of the new era, so as they live, the cycle of curses continues. Not to mention, Angel requires Yuji to die to free Gojo, and his execution is already set out as long as Sukuna remains. The endgame of Jujutsu Kaisen is exciting, but it is scary, because our main cast will have to make impossible decisions to save the ones they love, or even be forced to fight them if the circumstances allow. And in turn, that will lead to substantial growth in our characters' potential strength, their mindset, their ambition, etc. This ending arc is going to be amazing. But that's just some big things that I wanted to see this year, and just to conclude my thoughts, I wanted to ask you brothers, how do you feel about Jujutsu Kaisen so far and moving into the future? I obviously am enjoying the series a lot. This Culling game arc in general is also just amazing. It's such a broad direction for the series to go, and is very, very action-packed with lots of details. You'd usually expect arcs to get bigger and better and surpass each other as time goes on, and there's definitely huge potential, but at the moment, I think a lot of us would agree Shibuya is still the all-time best arc in the series, and I think it really just might stay that way with how iconic it was, and the Culling Games is peak, but Shibuya was truly beyond peak. So it's also going to be amazing seeing MAPPA's Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 premiere this year as well. The Culling game introduces a lot more sorcerer power and has incredibly high development and high level sorcerer battles, but it doesn't hit like Shibuya. It definitely has its moments, but I look forward to how the series heads toward the final arc of the series. Thank you guys for watching. Please share what you brothers want to see this year in Jujutsu Kaisen. I think 2023 is going to be stellar, and I'm hoping Gege keeps pushing past just this year and really gives this masterpiece a good journey, because an ending is really the hardest part. But Gege knows this, and undoubtedly he's got some peak fiction waiting for us at the end of the road. Anyways, this has been Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you awesome brothers in the next one. Bye bye.